So I know everyone's heard of Socrates, the great Greek philosopher from the 5th century BC. One of his most famous sayings was, "An unexamined life isn't worth living." So have you ever thought about your life, thought about why you're here, really took time to look into your life? What I hope you would consider, maybe learn tonight, is the importance of actually slowing down and taking time to think, actually stopping, even scheduling time, getting rid of distractions, turn off the TV, and actually spending time just thinking. Now, most of the time, and I'm sure everyone's experienced this, is where your mind is just constantly rolling and going in loops, asking yourself the same questions over and over, and you're really not getting answers, but your mind is working but not really doing the hard work of thinking. And so a lot of times you just need to stop and schedule time to sit down and take time to just think. And there's 3 different ways that I do this, but I'll give you a particular technique on how to actually use think time. So what you do is you need to sometimes even just schedule time, but make time, clear away all the clutter, turn off the TV, put away the phone, actually schedule time to just sit down and think. And this particular technique actually involves writing along with thinking. So what you do, different people suggest different ways. Some people say to do this writing, you actually need to take pen and paper so you're physically involved with your thoughts. But I like to use just a computer Word doc because, one, my writing is not very good, but when I'm on a computer, I can type a lot faster. So as I'm thinking, I can get stuff down a lot faster, and then I can go back and edit what I wrote. So the way you start, whether it's pen and paper or the computer, is you sit down and you just start writing whatever's on your mind and keep going. If you can't think of anything, just write down, "I can't think of anything to write." Just keep writing. Just keep writing. Because once you get started, a lot of times you're just out of practice, things will start to come to you. And you just keep writing and keep writing until really you just can't think of anything else to write. When you get to that point, go back, look at what you've written down and ask yourself, what does this mean to me? How can I put this to use? What is this telling me now? And answer those questions, continue to answer those questions. And then you do that iteration 2 or 3 times until you've really put in the good effort of thinking. At the end of that time, look at what you've wrote and really stop and ponder and think about what you've written and what that means to you. Maybe a lot of the stuff you've been rolling around in your mind that week. So in my own life, I actually use this in 3 different ways. And the biggest one was actually just last week. My job, the end of the year is kind of slow. So I have a lot of downtime, and I take a lot of time off into the year. And I actually spend a lot of time just thinking. A lot of this is at the end of the year. I set my goals for 2018, so I spend a lot of time just thinking about my goals for next year. And also, my passion, and Tim talks about this a lot. What is your passion? And I think about, kind of what Socrates talked about, examining my life. Why am I here? What do I want to do with my life? At the end of my life, I write my eulogy. What do I want that to look like? And that's how I kind of plan on my goals for next year and even 5-10 years out. So I do my goal setting as well as I kind of mentioned, I think the big picture stuff about, really why am I here and what do I want to do with my life. So that end of year, that's kind of the big stuff. The second time I use think time, I do this every week as well. So once a week, and for me, I'm an early morning person. I get up early, usually I do this on Saturday mornings. So I get up, have my coffee, and I sit down because early in the morning I'm freshest, I'm not tired, and my mind works best. And I'll sit down, I'll do some think time, and usually this is just, I'll kind of go back over my goals. Am I still on track for my goals? Is there something that's not working? Do I need to shift something? Or do I still have the passion for these things I'm working on? So I'll think about my goals there on Saturday morning, as well as I'll think about the things that have been looping around in my head that week. And I'll go back and I'll use that technique I just described where I'll sit down and actually at my computer and just kind of start getting the ideas that I've had in my mind that week. And what are those unsolved things that have been rolling through my mind that I haven't really got solved. And a lot of times I'll come up with a solution, or at least I'll get a direction or a resource. I'll think of a resource to go to try to solve whatever's been rolling around in my mind that week. And the third way that I actually use think time is in a lot of great thinkers have actually suggested this as well, is spending time either every day or at night, just 5, 10, or 30 minutes on think time. Actually thinking about either just directed thinking about things you want to do, or just the kind of the blank thinking that I talked about with the technique. So I do this every night. It's the last thing I do before I go to bed. I'll take 10, 20, 30 minutes, and I'll think about my day, and I'll think about the business conversations I had that day, kind of review those in my mind. What mistakes did I make? How could I have done something a little different or better? As well as any personal conversations I've had that day. Did I treat people the way I want to treat people? So I'll think about the conversations I've had that day, as well as, I'll look at my goals, the things that I want to get done for that day. Did I get my things done? And I know I've talked about this before. I carry around the book. I write down the things I want to remember, things I need to get at the store, or things I need to do. So I'll review to make sure I got my goals done for the day, and then my goals for the next day. And once I've done that, the last 2 questions I ask myself before I go to bed is, what could I have done better, and what could I have done different? Actually, both those are framed intentionally to provoke a positive response. So that is my final think time that I do at the end of the day. So, but I'd just like you to consider that, there's been a lot of research that people actually make a lot more and better decisions when you actually take that time to think. So I'd encourage you just to consider scheduling think time in your life. See if you get some better results, and to kind of rephrase what Socrates said, try to make the examined life worth living.
Thank you, Mark.